Thank you all for coming this afternoon. Appreciate your interest and your support, your prayers. I really kind of have two objectives this afternoon. First, I guess my hope and my intent is that this building can become as real to you guys as it is to those of us who've been working on it this year. And second, we need to talk about the finances and the money side of this. Just to start off, I thought I'd give you kind of a whirlwind tour. I know we've been over the floor plan quite a number of times and looked at things. So I'll just go through it fairly quickly. If you have questions, please feel free to jump in. I'd like to move fairly fast, but this is a time for us to talk at the same time. This is the cover of the plans that Byler's Contracting has supplied us. The really important pages are posted over here on the wall again if you want to look at them again. I also have them in a PDF form if you'd like to see the whole set. It's about 11 megabytes, but I can mail it out to anybody that wants it, and I actually have it posted on the church's Facebook page if you're a Facebooker. Anyway. The site plan here shows it's still under development. This is the part where the city really gets involved. They have really strict landscaping requirements, minimum number of parking spaces, setbacks, the whole 9 yards. And so this is something that the contractor is still working on. He's engaged a landscape architect as well as the site plan engineer. As you can see, we're kind of going towards having two entrances, about 170 parking spaces. There'll be some handicap spaces right up close to the building. Still have a covered entryway. And the street here is called Majestic View. So have to get up there and enjoy the view. The floor plan, again, like I said, really hasn't changed much over the years. It really centers on this idea of having a circular traffic pattern going around the auditorium. So we have good access to all different parts of the building. And we have the different kind of functional groups that are put together. You have your foyer and your auditorium and your fellowship hall that are grouped there with the main restrooms right there adjacent to them. You have the offices off to this side, but still front in a location that the congregation as well as the public can have easy access to those. Then you get into the classroom wing that wraps around the side and the back, trying to group everything together in that way. And then in the corner on this side, you have the kitchen, which would be accessible from the inside and the outside. As you approach the building, you actually come up under an enclosed drive and walkway, and you enter into the foyer, and in this case we'll have a real Arctic entry so that we can try to keep some of the cold out. The foyer, it's about 1,700 square feet, and so there'll be plenty of room for people to move through in an orderly fashion, but yet still have lots of areas for us to stand around and talk, which is what we like to do so much. You just see here that there's good access to everywhere. We even have these areas here will be like for coat storage, and just have some racks on the walls there, but open, accessible, not something where somebody can hide and get into any trouble at all. So as you come into the foyer and go straight ahead, you go right into the auditorium. And this is kind of a fairly rough idea of what it will look like. I put them out here. Oh, yes. This room is about 4,600 square feet. And so that's actually a little bit over double the size of this room. So just as an idea of how big a room it is. So then if you go back out, into the foyer and go to the right this time, you come through the doors and you come into the fellowship hall. And as you can see, you look across, you'll see the windows that will go into the teen room, and lots of natural light coming in from the windows that will look out towards the mountains. Go to the other side of the room and look back across the chairs. You're looking into the kitchen area, and of course the main entrance where you come in. The layout here shows tables and chairs for about 340 people, and this was supposed to be a maximum of about 350, somewhere in that range. But even with this many tables and chairs, there's actually quite a bit of room between the tables and room around the outside of the different areas. You go back out into the entry and go the other direction, you're going out over past the office. This is situated so that, it has good access for the congregation again. Be really open, won't be closed off in any way. The area is actually, and we've talked about this before, but it's set up so that it can be locked and kept secure and private from the rest of the building. So if someone's there working alone, they won't have to worry about what's going on in the rest of the building. But at the same time, because the front door here will be the public access during the week, you can control traffic, and people won't be coming into the building and wandering around with no one knowing that they're there. So then from the office, you go into the main classroom aisle here. This starts, again, the first classroom that you come around will be the ladies' classroom, and this is a pretty good sized room. It's actually almost as big as the fellowship hall that we have now. And so we're kind of hoping that there'll be room, at least for quite a while, to have a small group or nursing mothers area in the back, maybe a little a couch and a chair and that sort of thing, and still have lots of room for a big class. And then, of course, it's located adjacent to the younger kids' classes. You have the cradle roll and the preschool right here, and the bathroom there is set up with a adult-sized toilet as well as a small toilet. Is one of the big things in preschool is, of course, potty training and learning that sort of thing. And then the next classroom would be kindergarten, first grade, and then just on around. In the back, this is kind of an example of the classroom size. These are 6-foot tables, so there's 6 tables there and 18 chairs. And so there'll be room for more students, but 18, 20 students in a class is getting pretty good sized. Go into the back wing then. We have the Valley Bible Institute there in the corner in a little bit bigger room, and you go across with the teen room on this side. The teen room is about 1,400 square feet. So it'll be a really, really big room that can be used for the teens as well as for adult class, that sort of thing. And then, of course, we have a secondary restroom area that's back there in that corner. And that brings us to the kitchen. The idea behind the kitchen design really is kind of have like 2 separate spaces, to have a public area that's what you see here towards the front, and then to have a more of a commercial cooking area in the back with kind of a shared area for preparation as well as cleanup in the middle. This front area will have a refrigerator for communion materials. We have our all-important drink center and coffee machines right there on the corner, easily accessible for everyone. Spaces for, cleanup, a hand washing sink, as well as countertops for crock pots, plug in, that sort of thing. Have warming ovens over on this side, have island space for whatever is needed. and serving areas there along the front. You know, whether this will be enough, you know, to actually serve us a full, you know, potluck dinner, we'll probably end up with some tables still, but at least it should be pretty handy. Do I want a pointer? I could try that. I don't know. Sometimes I'm technically challenged with these sort of things, but I'll try not to shoot anybody in the eye. Oh, and the other thing then is that you have this area right here for trash collection with direct access to the dumpster. So when you're, you know, if you're taking out the trash, you can come right in here and go right through without getting right in the middle of all the other traffic that's going on. As we move to the back of the kitchen, you can see here this, well, I went too far. Yeah. This is the cleanup area that I was talking about. So you have a commercial 3-compartment sink, you have a rinse area, place to stack dishes, a dishwasher underneath here, and then, you know, prep area here. These are fridge and storage. There'll be storage along the wall over here too. Then in this area, it would be more of the dedicated food preparation area, lots of stovetop area, more ovens, probably going to end up with some kind of a fancy hood requirement from the fire marshal, and so that would be back here. And then just storage on the walls and that sort of thing. Yes? Like a resale, like a caterer or something like that.
I don't know what the requirements to get a kitchen certified, but wasn't that part of the function of it as well?
It was one of the things that we've considered, but it never was a, you know, like a really direct goal. The problem is that it seems like as you get into a lot more expenses when you try to go completely that route. So, you know, for this first phase, the main thing that goes in is having, you know, the drains in the right place, in the concrete floor for the sinks and this sort of thing, and having the gas lines and all of that will be in the concrete, you know, getting all that in. And so, you know, as we go to the second phase, we'll have some more opportunity to, you know, readdress this. And of course, it all depends upon, you know, what our finances are and how things are looking in that regard. Any other questions? Yes?
Where's the janitorial closet?
Okay, the janitorial closet is back right off the foyer. We actually have two. You can see here. This would be the main front one right here, and then we would have another one up here in the back corner. Yes, Tapina.
Back to the kitchen, how do we get it certified so that we can possibly use this for evangelistic for the community? A good example is we're having a big team growing conference, and from people from all over the state are coming to, but they have to use the only building available that's affordable, and that's the Alaska Road or the railroad building in Palmer.
Oh, okay.
And would this be something that we can use for the community? I'm wondering if it's rentable, or because there's nothing up in Wasilla, and I mean, it'd be great for an outreach. And so my question is, are we going to get this like certified commercial, just so in case other groups may want to use it for weddings or other events?
It's a good question. I mean, we haven't actually addressed it. I mean, I suppose there's some consideration as to whether, that's something the church wants to get involved with, because it almost gets into a business type of arrangement. But it's certainly something we can explore further as we go along. Let's see. So anyway, that's basically the tour. I guess I didn't say anything, but the food pantry, of course, will be right here, so it will be readily accessible from the outside. Yeah, that's about it. Any other questions? Any comments? Okay. Mechanical room has actually ended up being on the second floor. This will be the main access with some mechanical components in this room. And then the second floor room goes about from this wall to this wall and is about that size. And
Does that put it where the peak of the roof, so there's extra room up there? Because the whole thing's not two-story, right?
well, it's two-story. It's 18-foot sidewall from this wall clear to the back wall. And so that's why there's room back there. And that was basically something that the contractor required. They just needed the space for their equipment, for the mechanical equipment. The whole building will actually have in-floor heat. And so we'll have a nice even heat, and then there'll also be a ventilation system to go along with that to exchange the air, so we don't get into situations where we have a lot of heat buildup like this room experiences. Yes, ma'am.
Really quick, in regards to the training room, obviously this is a little bit ahead because we're talking phase 2, but are there any intentions of making that soundproof so that the mothers that are in there or fathers that are in there with their kids, they don't have to worry about disrupting the rest of the service, yet they can still hear the service
Mm-hmm.
and see things through the glass?
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that will have to be addressed. Yeah. Taken care of. Any other questions? Tiffany? Yes, Tira?
Oh, I just was looking at the hallway that goes down next to the teen room. It kind of, yeah, and that one, and then the one that goes to the outdoor
Mm-hmm.
exit there. It'd be nice to put like some windows into the teen room, so it's not just like this dead end straight corridor. And it's, sometimes. Or else put the hallway, in between the teen room and the fellowship hall or something. It looks like just kind of a dead end, unused place that, yeah.
Well, it's there as part of the fire escape, requirements.
I think she's saying windows into it so that
Yeah,
it
so it's-
avoids the possibility of teens getting into mischief.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that it's exposed and kind of more open, like, so that, yeah, you don't feel like you could do something. There you go. Learn how to delegate. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll have windows on this side, or they're already planned in this wall.
I've talked
But you're talking about over here in this wall.
into the classroom even, so
Mhm.
that it's kind of more open feeling, just an idea.
Yeah.
Doors into that back corridor, would we be able to see through the doors from the fellowship hall into that?
Yes, yeah, there'll be glass of some kind in these doors. Yes. One of the things that's worked out is because the whole building has a sprinkler system in it, you get away from actually having to have those being fire doors. You know, like over here, you know, there's no need for doors or anything like that. And so that kind of keeps it more open. Yes?
Where is bathrooms area and this kind of stuff? I don't see it for.
Well,
Speak again before, I don't know.
the main bathroom area is down here. Okay, and this would be the women's, and this would be the men's, with drinking fountains out here. And then the secondary bathroom would be up here. This would be the men's here, the women's here. And they both, you know, all of the rooms have really good handicap stalls. And then this is actually would be like the dressing rooms for the baptistry. And this room will have a shower, a curbless shower set up. And then this would just be a dressing room with a sink. This restroom here is set up as a family restroom, and it will actually have an adult-sized changing table in it. And that's just to, you know, make a convenient place for all kinds of different people to use. Right there. Our custodial closets will have utility sinks as well as mop sinks. The room here will have a changing table in the cradle roll with a sink, and then have a high and a low sink in the preschool classroom. And then of course the office will have its own restroom here. Yes?
Where is again that baptized place, pool,
Yeah, that's right here in the corner.
on that one?
Yeah, so you go up the stairs there and then back down the stairs into the baptistry there. Mm-hmm. You guys aren't very talkative. Yes, Stefina?
Is there any ways that we can add on so that as we, as a community, are out there shining this, and we're going to get lots of people? Do we have something that we can add on?
Well, I think, you know, from what the elders have said and the discussions that's, you know, gone on, one of the things in sizing this building like this was that, you know, once the congregation got to this size, then it was time to expand, but in other areas, to go to Palmer, to go to Willow, to go to Eagle River, and so we haven't really made allowances to add on to the building. It seems like you get into making lots of compromises trying to do that, and then kind of like we've ended up here where you know, we could have added on to the auditorium here, but then all of the other spaces, the support spaces that go along with it are still too small, and so in the end it doesn't really work out that way. Yes, Tefina?
I think that's a great thing. I'm really happy to hear that. Where are we going to put a sign at?
Where are we going to put a sign at? Who's concerned about signs? I mean,
You'll need lighting and...
yeah.
People out there with signboards.
Yeah.
We're not that wicked generation looking for signs.
Yeah. This will be the main street side, and so I think we'll probably be able to put a sign out there. I mean, that's actually one of the things that's going along with the site development is that this was originally rural residential, and in rural residential zoning, the signs that you're allowed are pretty small, and so we're in the process of trying to get it switched over to commercial, which would allow us quite a bit bigger signage. And given the location and everything, that's really something that's needed. Uh-oh. Any other questions? Any other comments? I've kind of felt like that you know, that this part of it has gone really well. I mean, our contractor's been really sensitive to our desires and our needs. And of course, we've had it kind of locked in for quite a while, and so that's really helped us, I think, in dealing with him. The site plan and the parking and everything and dealing with the city is probably the only real hang-up right now. They actually have some pretty strict requirements. I think it's in Title 16 or something. It's a packet that's, you know, pretty thick. And so right now, once the contractor actually submits that application to the city, it'll be 14 days minimum from that time until they can actually issue us a permit. And that's because it has to go out to the public for comment. And so it's starting to put us really close. You know, originally the contractor had said that if he couldn't get started by about the middle of August with the dirt work, that we were going to, you know, get too late in the season. I think our general feeling now is that even if we get later than that, you know, we want to start something. We want them up there at least starting the initial dirt work, you know, and even to lock in our price that he's given us this summer. You know, we may be spending some of the money that we have just sitting in the bank to buy materials and that sort of thing, to make sure that when we do get the chance to go, that we can actually go and still maintain the same deal that we have now. Yes, Barry.
Any reusable walls anywhere, or you figure pretty much the rooms are big enough already?
The rooms are pretty good sized. We've considered, you know, putting in a movable wall here because this is such a big room, and you could easily split it into two to make smaller rooms. You know, we still have the auditorium for a classroom. We still have the fellowship hall for a classroom. And so as far as these walls go, we haven't really, you know, talked about it. I mean, like this wall here, of course, is a bearing wall, and so is this. And so the only one that you could do that with would be this one. These classrooms are just a little bit smaller than these. But just as an example, the current high school room, which is our biggest classroom here, is 444 square feet. And so the standard classroom over here is 465 square feet. And these back here are actually in the 400 square foot range. So they're actually pretty good sized rooms compared to what we're used to.
Were you saying like 18 people in a room?
Well, that one picture that I had was what it would look like with 18 people in it.
And that's the average room size?
And that's pretty much the average room size, yeah. So if you put, I mean, you could actually put 2 8-foot tables in and still have room to get by. You know, you could easily probably get 20, 25 students. So you're getting into a really big class size, get into that. So you'd have to have 3 teachers. Oh. It'd be a terrible situation to be in, to have such big classes. So. Yes.
I don't know if there's been much discussion about it or what the thought is or not. I'm wondering, as far as, especially with phase 2, is there any reason that, I mean, we have a lot of talented individuals in our congregation. Is there any reason that we, as a congregation, not be involved in helping at least with phase 2 in order to both cut some of the cost as well as, you know, I think it would be such that we need that much more as a congregation if we are involved in building this, you know, with the oversight
Yeah.
necessarily be able to use.
Yeah.
It is, and
It's something that we've talked about, you know, from a contractor's point of view. It gets really dicey because of the liability issues and one thing another. I mean, we'd almost be to the point where we would have to self-contract certain parts of it ourselves if we wanted to do that and exclude the contractor entirely. And we do, and there is the possibility that we can do that.
I mean, I can understand like plumbing and electrical and things like that. We don't want
Mhm.
those areas, but things like painting, you know, stuff like that. I would think that one of those types of things that are
Yes.
not in regards to your structure, you know, structural
Right,
issues,
right.
those would be things we could take care of
Mhm.
ourselves.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And we're definitely going to be in a position where, you know, we're going to want to maximize our talents. That's for sure. Mhm. So we'll start posting lists. I really look forward to that time when we can be working on that part of it, be inside of it, and be thinking about paint colors. Yes, Tafina?
Have you covered the acoustics?
Oh.
How that's going to be coming along?
No, I didn't really. It's. Mm. In this picture here, I've kind of attempted to draw in some of what the acoustical engineer that we're working with has talked about. There was actually a couple things early on that he wanted. One of them was, of course, the basic shape of the auditorium. A rectangle is always sounds better than a square, and especially if you know, you want to be at the long end of the rectangle. The other thing that he wanted was the slope ceiling. Originally, we had talked about just cost-wise to just have a flat ceiling, but having parallel surfaces like that causes you some trouble sound-wise, and so we've gone to the slope ceiling. And then eventually we'll have some round shapes like this on the walls, and again, that will be all part of his plan to give us the best possible acoustics that we can have. It's one of those things that you don't really think about beforehand, but you know, a great sound system can't overcome bad acoustics in a room. I mean, it just doesn't work. And you may not really think about acoustics as being a big deal, but you know, if you even like in this room, if you have trouble listening, if you have trouble hearing, even if your hearing's good, sometimes you have trouble hearing, and that just causes you some issues. And one of the things, I mean, it's kind of funny to say, but one of the things that leads to is actually you feel like you want to fall asleep. I mean, we thought it was the preacher, but see, it's not. It's just the room acoustics. And so that's one of the reasons that we've, you know, tried to put as much thought into that as we possibly can. Yes?
Natural lighting in the auditorium or just all?
Yeah, it all ends up being artificial lighting. Yeah. You know, originally we kind of thought, you know, we might try to figure out some way to get windows in the back, so the building kind of got rotated so that's not the view side anymore anyway. But by the time you put the building into the center of the room or the center of the building, you just kind of get away from all of that. So, yes?
Well, I was just wondering what you have set up for both the possibilities of being able to record services like we do now, and the sound system, if that's going to be set up to accommodate both that as well as just what we have set up for other areas like the nursery area, places that we can maybe both listen in on sermons and see, but maybe not necessarily be in the training.
Right. Yeah, this upper area here is going to be where the AV room is. And that's where they'll be doing the filming from and have their computers and all their equipment. Yes, Tafina?
One thing that came to surface was the idea of those who have hard hearing, who have headphones.
Yeah.
Will that be considered in the plan too?
Yes, yes. And that's one of the nice things about our current technology is that so much of it's become wireless that you can add things like that, without having a lot of infrastructure in the building. One of the things we will have would be, and this goes to your talking about the TV in the other room, is basically having a wired-in data system so that you could plug a TV in about anywhere that and be able to see what they're filming or something to that effect. And again, that's something that the new technology that's coming out is pretty cool with. Yes.
What about slide projector? Would that be just on the wall, like if someone's doing a presentation or like this?
Well, it's still kind of up in the air because one of the nicest things is having an overhead projector, having this projector but having it up on the ceiling and then having the connections wired so that you can hook up to it, real easily. And pardon?
Because it's going to be a peaked roof.
Yeah, it's going to be a
15 feet.
right. Yeah, so it'd have to be, situated in such a way to deal with that. But then, you have a pretty big area there that you'll be able to put a screen on, that sort of thing. Tafina.
One more question. What about like when we used to have the sojourners and maybe the lectureship? Will we have outside outlets and things like that for travelers?
Yeah, there's plans to put things like that in. Probably not full hookups with sewer and everything, but at least some electricity and water, access to water. Yeah. Yes.
One more question, how they go supply water, city water, or they go drill down to the?
We have city water here, city water and sewer, and we have gas, natural gas. So we have all the utilities that are in the street there. Yes. Okay. So just as a reminder here. Yes, Gary.
I missed the first half. Did you talk about the parking at all?
Yes. Pardon?
Took care of that.
Yeah. This is what we're, the proposal that we're working under. The first phase, which was the basic exterior shell, but included quite an extensive list of different, things. I mean, it would include, the interior partitions, all of the in-floor heat, just no electrical, no insulation, no in-the-wall plumbing, that sort of thing. All that comes in second phase. And of course, no landscaping or paving. So right now we're looking at needing $1,325,000 to finish this phase of construction. So right now, our building fund is. I should have asked Chuck earlier exactly what it was, but I didn't.
About $10,000, a little higher.
It's a little higher than this? Okay. So we're at roughly $1,080,000. We have our land free and clear. We have our building plans completed. We have the site plan under development. We don't actually have any construction yet, unfortunately. We need $255,000 to finish this first phase. And of course, we still need the $1,375,000 to finish the second phase, plus the money for the parking and landscaping. So that kind of brings us to the second part of what I would like to talk about. What happened?
Hey, Barry,
Yes?
did they give us a stopping point of how long we have to start that second phase?
No, they really haven't. I think we've kind of generally understood that if we didn't get started on it fairly quickly, that it would end up being renegotiated somewhat, just because prices will go up, and the longer that interim period is, the more that will change. Of course, once we get the shell up, and this is why it's been so important to get the shell up, we're not faced with the point where we have to come up with all of the money to start the second phase. I mean, we can actually start doing things along as we get the money to do them, and so that will help. Anything else? So how did that go? Oh, well. So now we're kind of at the point where I need to talk about the finances. I just want you to keep in mind that this is really a family discussion, and I just ask that you as you consider this, that you be as gentle and loving with each other, and especially with me, as you can be. One of the real strengths, I think, of our congregation is that we don't go around drawing lines in the sand where God doesn't draw them. I think we do this because of the way that we value unity. I mean, we actually have quite a range of people that attend here that within the context of the Bible have a lot of different opinions about things, and that we can meet together is a great thing. And the reason I kind of say that is that, ultimately this is just a building. I mean, it's a tool. It's a big, expensive tool, to be sure, but I don't think it's overdone. I don't think it's an extravagant. I mean, I feel like every square foot of the building has been discussed, and somebody has a claim to it, and actually multiple people have claims to the same square footage. And so I think overall that what we've got here is probably the best deal by far that we could ever hope to have. It's just that we're at a point as a family where we need more room. I mean, families run into that. Families grow. Families want bigger houses, need bigger houses, and that's where we're at. In the past, we've debated all of the different alternatives almost endlessly, and we're actually now at a point where the elders have set us a direction, and really it's up to us now to figure out how to make that work, how to get it done. So it seemed when we last left off fundraising efforts, we'd kind of gotten to the point where we had a lot of money in the bank. We didn't have enough to do everything, obviously, but we had a lot of money in the bank. And I think that in a lot of ways the general feeling was there wasn't any point in giving more and going forward with more and more donations until we actually figured out what we were going to do and actually got at least a good part of the $1 million that we already had spent. And so that's kind of where we left off. And and I don't think that leaves us in any way, shape, or form in a bad position now. I know when I'm out in the valley and talking to different groups or different people, there's a lot of congregations in the valley who are trying to build new buildings. And when they find out the position that we're in financially, they're actually pretty envious. There's a lot of congregations that are even part of national organizations that don't even own the building that they're in. I mean, that they're making payments on it as they go. They don't own the land that they want to build on, and they certainly don't have the money in the bank that we do. You know, I think that even from just an individual family point of view, if you were thinking about building a bigger house and you had the land to build on and you had over a third of the money saved to build, you would go for it. I mean, that's just kind of the American way. You'd go borrow the money or you'd do whatever it took to get that done. But of course, that's where the reality kind of kicks in, is that you can have all this going for you and you still have to figure out how to pay for what you're going to borrow or what you're going to spend that you don't have. So as you all know, part of the plan really is to sell this building to pay for a large part of the new building. Just when it will sell and how much is still pretty much up in the air. We've started the appraisal process, but that really won't be done until late September. So where does that leave us? Well, in the short term, we need $255,000 to pay for the final phase, or the end of the first phase of construction. Now, I think you probably heard the elders have started the process of applying for a loan. But the important thing to remember here is that's just a backup plan. The loan isn't the main plan. Because the thing you have to remember is that loans are expensive. The interest is expensive. I mean, as individuals right now, we can borrow money for under 4% if we're borrowing against our houses and our property. But as a group, we're looking at 7% because we're in a commercial loan type of deal. So the main plan to pay for this is that all of us, before this first phase is over with, all of us together donate the money to pay for it. That's the main plan. To take that out as far as it goes, the plan is that in order to finish the building, we will have to donate the money to do that. That's the plan. Of course, we'll donate whatever this building, doesn't cover. As you think about this and as you consider it, I think you have to ask the question, and that is that, has God ever had any other plan? I mean, when you look at the Bible and you look at the way things have been done, it seems like to me that the only way things were ever done were by free will offerings from the family of God, with his blessing, with his help. Anybody have any comments at this stage? I mean, I think it's something that we know. We've known this all along. It's just, it seemed like to me that we've kind of talked around it and not really just, got right to the point of it. So, one of the reasons that, this comes up now, of course, is because we are facing the start of construction. We are, starting to spend the money that we have one way or another. Like I said, we're going to start some dirt work this year. And so one of the first things that comes up in Alaska in the fall is that the dividend is coming. For Marlene and I, the dividends aren't a huge thing right now, but I remember a time when, to get $2,000 would have been a third as much income as we would have for the whole year. I mean, it would have been a really huge thing for us. And so, I know that these checks are a big thing for people, for a lot of people. And it's just that, you know, this building is a big thing too. It's a big deal for our future. It's something that will, you know, as we go into the future, will be a great tool for God's work here in the valley. And so, you know, just thinking along that lines, you know, it's like you run the numbers. If 100 of us give $1,000, that's $100,000. And, you know, just take that on down. You know, if 100 give 1,500 and another 100 give 1,000, you've got $250,000 and we've met our goal. And it's easy to say, harder to do, but that's what we come down to. I mean, we come down to, as families and as individuals, of trying to figure out how we're going to donate that kind of money to the church. It's kind of a new thing. I mean, even for me, as long as I've been in the church, I've never really been in the position where I needed to donate relatively large chunks of money to the church. I mean, it just isn't something that I've ever done. It's a new experience. In a lot of ways, it's intimidating to think about. All of a sudden, you know, somehow or another, my family finances are going to adjust to allow me to do this. And on our own, it's not going to happen. But somehow or another, through faith, it can happen. And so, you know, in the end, for me, it's just something that I can face only because, you know, it's God's gift to me. That faith and that courage is something that I get from Him. So that's all I got. Anybody have any more comments? Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you.